Hello, how are you? We start again on the healing journey of the Matatu community in Kenya. As I said before, the Matatu community is seen as a necessary evil, and people just have to accept because they have no alternative because of the aggression, the rebelliousness, the deranged behavior of some Matatu operators. And I have done 2 videos on this topic, and this is the third video that I would like you to watch. And the purpose of this video is to go further into the healing journey of the Matatu community. This, this video is run under my program, Ugewe Mbere ya Hinya, that knowledge is beyond strength, and if you have knowledge, you have several advantages over someone who has physical strength or monetary strength. The healing journey, the Matatu community, will start by addressing stigma. Many people do not appreciate that the Matatu community experience trauma in everyday livelihood negotiation. The tendency has been to blame the Matatu community, especially when fatalities occur. They argue that the Matatu community is lawless, aggressive, and does not respect anyone. They belong to the prison, not to the Kenyan roads where civilized people operate. They are money hungry and do not think of human life. They are stigmatized as failures and criminals. I would advocate that accident caused by the Matatu community can happen to anyone, not just Matatu people. Bad roads, poor visibility, and other bad drivers' behavior equally contribute to accident. I would use non-punitive language in handling the driver. I would not scold the driver, condemn them, or make them feel guilty about the accidents. I would also work with them to help recognize consumer choice. For example, when they spend a long time hitting the body of the Matatu, calling out for passengers, they feel pain, they get discouraged, but they need to be made aware that consumers have choice and that choice should be respected. Individuals have the choice to decide which van to use and not the other way around. I would also make sure I do not pass judgment on the Matatu community, activities or accident. I would use strength-based and competence-based approaches for their treatment programs. I would identify their strengths like radical courage, radical determination, hard work, endurance, perseverance, and self-reliance. Those are positive attributes exhibited by Matatu people and which are hidden by their aggression, their lawlessness, and their deranged behavior on their own. I would also aim to ensure safe transport after work and help them manage fatigue. For example, in Kawasukari, where I live, most of the matatus are parked in the petrol stations, Shell petrol station, which used to be called Engine. And then, after parking the matatu late in the night, they have to take a border or wherever to get to their homes, and their homes are not in the neighborhood. Sometimes they are in the unsafe parts of the city. So they are likely to be anxious as they travel at night. So how do you ensure their safety as far as these things concerned? So we should understand that the stigma we apportion the Matatu has largely also to be with us because we view them as non-human beings. The other thing I would also wish to address in the healing journey of the Matatu is the relationship between culture and trauma. Culture defines trauma, action, and interaction. The way we respond to trauma is because of the way we are socialized to behave. In the case, most of the Matatu community members are male, and culturally, they are socialized not to show physical or emotional weakness. They have to appear the tough guy. I can do it. I can make it. So even when they are tired or when they are fatigued or when they are emotionally disturbed, they can not show it because they have to be the tough guy and apply that tough, macho, masculine demeanor. Cultural expression of masculinity, machoism, determines their behavior at work. They are encouraged to suppress, they encourage the suppression of emotion such as anger and fear. Emotion weakness is also seen as a weakness. The suppressed fears later explode into irritability, violence, abuse of women in the vehicles, road rage, and crashes. Culture also sometimes determines distrust in seeking help for mental health or anger. Most drivers also have accidents in the Matatu community, never live to tell their story, but their cultural self-help organization do help members with funeral expenses and medical bills. I believe those self-help cultural associations like the circles, the drivers organizations, the touts organization would help them in seeking help from professionals, working with people like the Mother Mental Hospital, working with Chiromorin or Oasis Mental Health. They also give each other moral support and work in solidarity in very stressful environment. If they communicate with each other where there is a police roadblock, they communicate with each other where there is traffic jam, and they help each other in many ways. So we can express this, we can exploit this solidarity and put it in a way that it will be used to help cope with stigma, be aware of the need for mental health and well-being for drivers who are always on the edge from the anxiety of carrying a busload of passengers, anxiety of not knowing whether they will go back home after an accident, not knowing what the future of their family is going to be like, and all that. I'll prepare. I'll I'll prepare to address the community challenges by first unlearning my privilege and practicing cultural humility. As someone from an academic background, as someone with some socioeconomic status, I need to unlearn my privilege and put myself in the shoes of an everyday matatu driver or an everyday matatu tout. By doing so, I'll appreciate the feelings of staying a whole day without in a place where there are no toilets, no water, in an alley where there is smoking vehicles, like where we pick matatus to 45 to go to Roiro or to KU or to Kawasukari. By unlearning my privilege, I'll be able to build rapport and assure the community that my work as a social worker is not punitive, but rather contributes to the community well-being through healing and advocacy. I'll also use strength-based, competence-based approaches to develop healing and advocacy programs. I'll use also mindfulness, spaced breathing exercises, and work with them to analyze the graffiti on the bodies of the vehicles, the colors, the messages on the vans, bodies, etc. A lot of messages and artwork are found in Matatu vans. Some of them even have TVs which show videos. I would like to go with them, analyze how these videos influence their behavior and all that. As a social worker with a Christian worldview, I will address the group's challenges with compassion, justice, humility, respect, and dignity. I'll demonstrate Christ-like behavior of welcoming sinners like Mary Magdalene and eating with the tax collectors such as Levi and Zacchaeus. The first approach will be the recognition that every person in the Matatu community is made in the image of God. They therefore need respect in terms of respective language, honoring their self-determination, radical courage, solidarity, and the desire for self-reliance. Again, I also treat the community with humility by asking questions and not assuming. For example, I can ask questions like, what does your healing from anger, anxiety, what is the relevance? What does your healing from anger, anxiety, irritability look like for safe driving? How would you drive better if you are able to manage your anger? Or does faith have a role as a matatu for the matatu community member? A Christian perspective understands traumatized individuals by using trauma-informed principles of dealing with people experiencing violence, poverty, insecurity, and uncertainty. This involves addressing physical, emotional needs, building trust, respecting choice, initiating collaboration, and using client-led spirituality through prayer, forgiveness, and grief management. A social worker with a Christian worldview could advocate for justice and mercy. For example, by advocating for the provision of matatu spaces and places in the city with decent infrastructure and basic amenities for clients. I could also call for a revision of the punitive laws that demean the matatu community. For example, there is a law in the city of Nairobi that a matatu is never supposed to stop anywhere. So how are they expected to behave? I could also advocate for special insurance for community members such as drivers and conductors. As I would also help Matatu community build partnerships with health professionals who will run mobile clean outreach health clinics. For example, in what they call Marima, health workers, volunteer health workers can visit this site. Student nurses, student clinical officers doing psychiatry, they can offer to visit these sites and work with them during their time. I could also combine CBT and DBT therapy with prayer, mindfulness, and meditation. I could also help them work out and process grief through prayer and meditation, as well as advocate for safety programs for going home from after work. So we have seen that there are many things that the Matatu industry that need to be addressed in the Matatu community for our road accidents to decline. Every time there is an accident, it causes me to cringe. It causes me to wonder, when will this stop? Every time I see a person on the newspaper lost to accident in a Matatu, I wonder, how can we eliminate this behavior in our roads? Policing seems not to work. So can we use more humane, friendly ways like working with their health and well-being, reducing their irritability, and addressing stigma? I appreciate your listening, and I hope you will share these videos widely so that we can listen to the Matatu community, which wakes up very early in the morning, works throughout with nobody recognizing them, and then being condemned for every slight mistakes. So let's think positively. Let's look at them with a human eye, with humility, dignity, and respect, compassion, and seek justice and mercy for them. And most of all, help in dealing with stigmatization of the Matatu job, stigmatization of as criminals, as people hungry for money who don't care about life or respect anybody. Thank you very much. Ongewe mbere ya hinya. Knowledge is beyond strength, and I wish you luck. And I hope resources like Mathare Mental Hospital, Jiromolin Hospital, and Oasis would organize for mental health and well-being clinics for Matatu drivers and touts and other community members, so that we reduce the irritability, the road rage, and all that bad behavior we see on our roads, and most of all, save the lives of productive Kenyans whom we lose every day. Thank you very much. Have a great Sunday.